Sara Khan was listening to that. Is co-director of Inspire, a counter-extremism and human rights organisation. And do you have an answer to the questions posed by this girl's neighbours, why she would have done this?
Well, I think it's a very sad case, and I think what we're witnessing with this girl is a new phenomenon in the UK, where we are seeing increasing numbers of young British Muslim girls in our country who are fleeing the UK and going to join the Islamic State. This young girl follows in the footsteps of Aqsa Mahmood, a 20-year-old girl from Glasgow who was privately educated and, again, who was described as being bright, articulate, had everything going for her. This young girl from Bristol follows in the footsteps of the two twins from Manchester, who I think between them had around 28 GCSEs, again, who were bright, articulate, confident girls. One of the girls aspired to be a doctor.
Why did they do it?
Well, I think it's a very complex issue. There is no single cause for why girls are being radicalised. Nor is there a single profile. And I think it's interesting because I think we as a society seem to struggle with the idea of girls being radicalised. In all my time doing this work, it's been very clear to me that girls are just as equally vulnerable of being radicalised as young men. So there's no gender difference, I think, in that regard. Having said that, though, I think it's particularly telling that, the young girls in our communities, within Muslim communities in the UK, they are experiencing marginalisation, possibly more than boys, based on their gender. We know that there are mosques in this country where around 90% of them do not provide adequate provisions or facilities for women. So if these girls have got religious leanings, or they want religious guidance, who are they going to go to? If mosques are not allowing them to come in or providing them religious guidance, then unfortunately many of these girls are going to go online, and often they will stumble across extremist websites who will prey on their vulnerability.
Are they going to fight?
Well, what we're seeing at the moment is the vast majority are going over to become brides, or to be brides of these jihadis. The vast majority are definitely not going over to fight, and nor has the Islamic State encouraged young girls to become fighters as such. And it's interesting because even Al-Qaeda were very split in their view. The vast majority of Al-Qaeda, particularly Al-Qaeda Central, had always promoted the view that the role of women is very much to be the wife, to raise future martyrs, sons who would become the next generation of jihadis. But these women, from what we're seeing so far, from what they're tweeting and their presence on social media, is very much along the lines of, we're here to marry these fighters, these jihadis, to raise the next generation of jihadis, and just to very much have a very domesticated role in the Islamic State.
And when people talk about the warning signs for parents, what on earth are they?
Well, they're incredibly diverse. I mean, when I've spoken to mothers of mothers whose children have been radicalised, who've gone off to join and fight for the Islamic State, it's very telling. I mean, that they themselves have told me that often their child has been a bubbly, happy personality, and then they start seeing a kind of a hardening in their behaviour, their changes in their clothing, their language. They're displaying an almost incredible intolerance, actually, to their own families, telling the women in their...
But that's being a teenager, isn't it?
Well, it's what they're saying. So, for example, I spoke to a mother based in Canada over the weekend, and she was telling me that her son, for example, started saying, "I don't want to see wine on the table. I don't, you're not wearing appropriate clothing." So it can start off as something not particularly worrying, but then they as a parent start worrying. Well, what else are they saying? Or they start saying anti-Semitism, or they start promoting very negative views about non-Muslims, or they may be promoting incredibly anti-British sentiments. Or they might be talking about Syria and saying, "Oh no, we need to go over and support the Islamic State." It can be very varied in terms of their behaviour, their language, and so forth.
Thank you very much. Grateful to you, Sara Khan, co-director of Inspire.